You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
Do you want to be part of something bigger? At Siemens, we use AI to transform the everyday. Our engineering solutions drive innovation and change. We're leading in technology and building a sustainable future. Join Siemens and make an impact to transform the everyday. Apply now and be part of something extraordinary. Visit siemens.co.in/careers.
AT&T customers, switching to T-Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your existing phone and give you a new one free, all on America's largest 5G network. Visit T-Mobile.com/carrier freedom to switch today.
Pay off up to $650 via virtual prepaid MasterCard in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits plus tax. Qualifying port-in, trade-in service on Go 5G Next and credit required. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits or credit stop and balance and required finance agreement is due.
You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast, Packernet After Dark podcast, whatever. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, but we do have Mr. Unknown that would like to speak to you. Mr. Unknown, what's going on? Right.
Hey, Ryan, it's me, Peter, and from man. What's
up, Pedro?
So, I was just watching the game here right now and seeing social media, people talking about the grass and how it was slippery. First of all, I want to make it very clear. I agree with you guys. The players, it looks like it was drinking soap. I don't know what happened. But just to give some context, the type of turf, the type of grass that is used on the Corinthians Arena, it's like the same one that the Packers use on Rainbow Field. So that shouldn't be a problem, but it probably was, as we saw in the game. I saw some players talking about it. I think A.J. Brown said they changed the shoes and then it got better. I actually don't know. Probably the shoes that we use on the NFL is not the same we use on soccer, so that maybe the players and the NFL should have take some action on and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's that. But I don't want to make excuses. I never liked the Corinthians very much, so screw them, especially because their fans were cheering for the Eagles. So yeah, it was shit. So I still don't have any news about your love. Don't know if you have. So if you do, please help me out. Since I'm out of Twitter, I'm kind of just lost here on the news. So yeah, talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the Twitter situation. It's a good point, too. Not everybody right now has access to immediate information as the rest of the world does. Whoopsie-doozy, clicking buttons. The situation, as I'm sure you are now aware of, the Packers said that he has an MCL sprain. It seems to be sort of a grade 2, I guess you would say, which I think is in the 3 to 6 week range. Ian Rappaport came out and said, essentially, the Packers are not calling any other quarterbacks, and they expect Jordan to be on the low end of that spectrum. I don't know if, the way he phrased it was a little weird. It almost felt like he was saying they think he could come back in less than 3 weeks. But at the very least, the Packers are looking at 3 weeks being out. So it's been nothing but good news since we've seen the injury with his knee. I mean, when we saw the ankle, a little scary, could be high ankle sprain. And then when we saw the knee, it was like, holy crap, this could be season ending. And it's been just getting better ever since. Now, who knows? It's only a day after, so it's entirely possible that things don't progress as they should. But he's a young guy. He has not had a lot of injuries, at all. So hopefully he's going to be able to bounce back just fine from this. And we just need Malik to come out and win some games. Unfortunately, if you watch the Colts and Tennessee Titans games, who he'll be going up against, my Lord, do they look terrible. The Bears basically didn't have an offense and still won the game. That's about all I can... it's about all I feel I need to say to get that point across. But, sorry you're out on an island out there, Pedro. I will try to remember to be as thorough as possible. Sometimes, like I said, I make the mistake of assuming everybody just consumes all the news all the time and we just kind of talk over certain things without going in depth. So I will try to make sure very clear on what exactly is going on. Caller number 5, what's up?
Hey, Pack Daddy, caller number 5 here.
What's up?
I think that was the worst season opener I've ever seen. And people are going to point to, the loss to the Vikings a few years ago. I think that was 2020. The loss to the Saints 3-38 or whatever.
Rough.
But none of those losses came with, QB1 potentially out for the season. We don't know what it is yet, right? Some reports so far, it's maybe not an ACL and it's not his ankle. So that leaves a couple of things, but, again, we don't know. We'll find out soon enough. And by the time you listen to this, you probably already know. But if he misses over 5 games, the season is done, and that's why this is the worst opener. Not only did we look like crap on offense and on defense, giving up that many points, not only those two things, but also you were undisciplined, sick and tired of this team coming out sloppy. Do we need to play in the preseason? Is that really what needs to happen? Just unbelievable that it keeps happening year after year. I just don't get it. And then, of course...
before we go through too many things here, just as far as the sloppy thing, if you watch the games that I just got done watching, and the 3 o'clock games are on right now, I just got to get started. I watched all the... aside from the Chiefs, I don't know too many teams that didn't look kind of like dog crap. The Packers did, the Eagles did. And by dog crap, I just mean sloppy, unprepared, penalties, errant passes, drop, just bad tackling. The Titans look like garbage. The Bears couldn't do anything on offense at all, couldn't hardly complete a pass. Vikings look good. I didn't actually watch the full Vikings game, but every time I saw an update, it was a touchdown. So Sam Darnold, I think right now is QB1 in the NFL, aside from, it's like Pat Mahomes, then Darnold, and then I don't even know who would be after that, some other trash quarterback. Week 1 is weird, and no, playing in the preseason I don't think is going to really do very much, as evidenced by the fact that, again, the Eagles did nothing. The Packers actually did play in the preseason a little bit. I don't know why I bother saying it, because every year I say the same thing and nobody ever listens. We get off to a slow start and immediately it's, see, should have played. First of all, we did. You want the starters in every quarter of the entire preseason or what? Because that's a little crazy, but I mean, it's an interesting thought, but 0 teams do that. I mean, they're actually trending in the other direction of 0 preseason. I mean, the NFL as a whole is moving toward, let's add another game and then drop a preseason game. I don't know. I think it's sloppy. I'm less worried about week 1 sloppy, more worried about the postseason sloppy. I'm more worried about the midseason, what the heck was that game? If you told me that, yeah, they struggle week 1, like Buffalo. Buffalo is the worst team in history week 1. I don't know why. They're just the worst, most garbage team. But they end up being a good team, no matter what. So I don't even know. I think they might have won, actually. They came back against the Cardinals. They were getting the crap beat out of them. But, I don't know. Would I like them to be better? Yes. Is it normal to have mistakes week 1? Yes. That many penalties? Not really, but when you have the Eagles having just as many penalties, and then, again, with all the other issues potentially being contributed to by the field, I kind of just want to throw that one in the garbage, see what happens week 2. Especially, I'd like to get a look at home games where some of these guys are on more familiar turf. Unfortunately, we can't see Jordan, but I'd like to see, especially the defense. A lot of defensive players really struggled, especially the defensive line. I was looking at PFF, not one single defensive lineman on either team graded out well. So I have to assume there's a reason for that.
This is the worst is Jordan Love, obviously.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know, but if he's out for more than 5 weeks, the whole season's done. I mean, what after watching that team, I just don't see how they're gonna be able to string together enough wins to keep us afloat, which is doubly bad because we just lose a 1 year of a Super Bowl window. Like, that's 1 year gone, and 1 year closer to having to pay a bunch of people, and 1 year older for a bunch of guys, and it's just unbelievable how bad this opener was, given expectations, given excitement for the season, given what we had, everything we were hearing about the D-line being super dominant, and then they do nothing. Like, God almighty, man. I don't think I'm ever going to get hyped again for a season. It's just, they never live up to the expectations. It's really annoying. Anyway, hoping that it's not more than 5 weeks. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's way too early to be counting the season over. Even if we found out he was out for 6 weeks, it's still too early to count the season over because we don't know how many games. I understand yet. Well, we're probably not going to win with Malik Willis. Maybe, I don't know. We were 3-6 last year, and I counted us out. I said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm out." And that's when we went on our run. The year before that, exact same situation. We were 3-6. Is that even right? Yeah. We went 3-6. I think that's right when I counted us out. We beat Dallas. I was like, oh, maybe. Then we went 4-8, and then we went on a 4-game winning streak to get into the playoffs. So it's always this thing where it's like, I don't see a path. I don't know how it's possible. And so, it's like, well, we're probably done. Look, the Colts look like absolute dog crap. The Packers have a better football team. Do they have a better quarterback? Honestly, maybe. I don't know. Same with the Tennessee Titans. The frickin' guy just flung a pass randomly. He was getting sacked, and he's like, you know what's better than a sack? I'm going to flip it to that Bears defender right there, and he went for a pick 6. That's who we're facing week 3. Then we have the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold. He had a pretty good game. It's true, but it's at home, and Sam Darnold is not a good quarterback. Then we get the Rams, and now we're finally in the territory where it's possible we get our guy back. If we win one of those games, it's a 1-3 start. It's not the greatest thing in the world. If we win 2 of those, it's a 2-2 start. I mean, it's not that. If we lose all of them, that's not the greatest thing in the world. 0-4. Now you could look at the statistics on it, but the statistics are going to be a little iffy because generally 0-4 teams are not 0-4 teams because they didn't have the quarterback. It's because they're garbage 0-4 teams. But we have a little bit of a reprieve here with 3 teams that are not good at football. 2 of them are at home. It's going to give us the best possible chance. It's going to be dicey. It's going to be tough. But, lean on easier passes, Malik's mobility, which he does have, which is a weapon, and the run game, and then hope that our defense can take a massive step from what they were doing this past week, and it's possible we come through with some wins. And then after that, it's not like, well, Jordan's back, we got it. No, Jordan has to play better than he did. And then he has to be able to beat the Rams and the Cardinals and the Texans and the Jaguars, who look kind of decent, and the Bears defense that at least look pretty stout, and the 49ers and the Dolphins and the Lions. And, it's a tough season. It's going to be a tough season from week 1 all the way through. So this is just week 1. There's far too much doom and gloom. I saw, what's his name? Andrew in the Facebook group. He's most negative person on planet Earth. He wants to cut half the team and then pay extra money to everybody that had a good day. So if you had a bad day, you get cut. If you had a good day, I guess you just get more money. I don't know. So we should probably cut Wicks, and we should cut Bullard, and we should cut Jair, and we should cut Preston, and we should cut Kenny, and then we have a bunch of money. I don't know what we do with it all, but we have a bunch of money. I don't know. It's 1 week. Everybody looked bad this week, and we almost beat the Eagles, who, seem to be a pretty high-quality team. Hey, Ron, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? It's Aaron from Eau Claire. I watched the game last night, as we all did, and enjoyed most of the game, except for the end, obviously, when Jordan Love got hurt. But I know everyone's going to talk about that. I will talk about some other stuff just because I'm sure that the injury has been covered plenty. I was interested in seeing the defense, how it would look different. And I know they gave up 35 points. I think, from my perspective, there's two things that I'm trying to take into account with that. One, it's the first game of the season. It's the first game of a new defensive system, and it was against a good offense. So all those things being combined, I think it's reasonable to say, let's not necessarily judge the defense based on this game. If we were playing a bad offense and they played like that and they gave up 35 points, we could probably, have a little bit more concern. But, that Eagles team is a good team. They are well coached. They also have been, they've been in the playoffs. They have a good quarterback. They have a good running back. They have good receivers and tight ends and a really good offensive line. So I think, I think it would be wise to maybe give them a little more time to see what they do over the course of a whole season. And the Eagles defense is pretty solid too, and they gave up 29 points. And so it was kind of a high scoring game overall. Both defenses made some incredible plays, and both defenses busted some coverages and gave up some big plays. So to me, it's just a little bit of a give and take there. I'm not ready to make any proclamations about the defense yet. But yeah, and then Emmanuel Wilson again, I think has just continued to show that he's worth the roster spot. Played great. Xavier McKinney, that investment's already paid off with that interception. It's been a while since I've seen a Packers safety with that kind of decisiveness, so that was really fun to watch. Let's see, 1 second, call back.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was perfect piggybacking to what I was just talking about. And there's not enough information right now. There's nothing wrong with saying I'm disappointed in what I saw, and I was hoping to see something better. It's absolutely not the best and most rational approach to say that we've drawn conclusions, right? Depending on what we're talking about, but certainly Hafley and the defense as a whole. And that's just silliness. Here is part 2.
All right, just one more little thought here. But yeah, so it was nice to see a Packers safety with that kind of decisiveness. I thought overall the defense looked to me, now I don't know what I'm talking about here, but it looked to me like they were playing more aggressively, and sometimes that led to whiff tackles and stuff. But to me, if you're erring on the side of playing aggressively, I think that's what a lot of us have wanted to see, and I think we just have to accept that that's not going to necessarily mean that the defense doesn't give up any plays. They probably gave up too many plays, but again, let's give Jeff Hafley some time. Teaching is all about reacting to what just happened, right? So The problem with Joe Barry was that, it wasn't that he was always terrible with everything he did. The problem was after 3 seasons with him, the reactions to what was going wrong didn't happen, They didn't make enough changes. So to me, a good coach is able to react to the bad things that happen and coach accordingly. And so all we have is one game of the Halfley experience to go by. But I think we need to give them time to react, so how do they handle, okay, what are we looking at on tape here? Blown coverage, what happened? How can we fix it? It takes a little while for a team to kind of find its identity. And, anyways. And so we'll just see what happens with Jordan Love, and I think our season hopes will kind of ride on that, one way or the other. But I enjoyed the game up until the injury. I would have been fine if the Packers, lost, but Jordan Love didn't get injured because, a loss is a loss, and if you're facing a good team, then, I think in a lot of ways that was a pretty close matchup. It was more or less a toss-up who was going to win. One team's got to win unless they tie. So I was fine with, I was overall fine with the way they played, for our first game of the season against a good team. I just, holding my breath, hoping Jordan Love's okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, not only do we need to just be patient for the sake of patience, good defenses have bad days and everything else. We have to allow our defensive coordinator time to take a look at things, also the head coach. Take a look at things, find out what we have and what we don't have, make some adjustments and whatnot. Remember with Matt LaFleur last year, said it 1,000 times, it took, 9 weeks for them to figure out how to build an offense around Jordan and Christian and Romeo and all these guys, like what works and what doesn't with who can do what. And I mean, you have to figure out on an individual basis. It's not just all at once. Like Jaden Reed, what do we have in Jaden Reed? Is he a good football player? What can he do? What does he excel at? What does he not excel at? And then designing things around Jaden Reed, and then doing that for Christian, and then doing that for Jordan, and then doing it for Aaron Jones, and then doing that for Zach Tom, and then turning all these things into a cohesive football team, and then crafting it for each individual opponent. Jeff Halfley's kind of been able to do that in the offseason. He was able to watch tape on the guys and then spend some one-on-one time with them in practice and whatnot. Preseason a little bit, but that's mostly evaluation of some of the other guys. I mean, this is really the first time he's really been able to evaluate guys like Jair and Stokes and Kenny and Rashawn. And look, it might be a trash defense. It might be a, same old, same old. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be. That's all it's ever been. But we don't know that today. It's going to take more time to figure that out. And I also want to reassess things. I'm looking at, just as an example, I just pulled this up. I freaking lost it now. There were insights. This is over at the NFL. Whatever. Bottom line is, I think it was like over 50% of the Eagles' rushing attempts were hit behind the line of scrimmage. I got to find this now so I can say it right. Here we go. This, then go to insights. It was Eagles' offensive line struggled on the ground in their first game without longtime center Jason Kelce. Out of 31 designed runs, 18 had contact behind the line of scrimmage, which is 58.1%, the fourth highest rate by the Eagles in a game since 2021. So, look, the scoreboard isn't good. That isn't to say everything was bad. I think what we saw was kind of what we talked about, where there's going to be a lot of exciting things. There's going to, the idea that the defensive line just did poorly, I don't think so. I mean, did they have 7 sacks? No. But I don't think the game plan was that anyways with Jalen Hurts, and we saw that with multiple plays where they're just playing contain. They weren't even trying to get to Jalen. There's a lot of issues. Plus, there was a billion times where they got pressures and Jalen was able to escape that a lot of guys wouldn't. And then on top of that, added in the field conditions. But you look at the aggressive nature and how they got the turnovers, Xavier McKinney in the pick. You look at the aggressive nature of the defensive line. Look at the extra blitzers that came regularly and how they were able to actually generate. I think the defensive line actually did do better. You know, Saquon was able to break away a little bit later in the game, which, by the way, he still didn't do a very good job in this game. You know, I'll talk about this more, I think, tomorrow. I don't know, maybe in a couple days. There's a lot to cover. There's PFF. There's other advanced stats. There is, I want to go over some of the other games that took place. I want to laugh at the Bears quite a bit. Yes, they won, but God, does that quarterback look like dog crap, and it makes me happy. You know how I roll. Anyways, bottom line is, yes, they deserve time, number one. And number two, not everything was bad. There was a lot to like in this game. And it's just, I mean, we can't all pick and choose what we choose to be patient with and not, right? So last year, for example, I was hard on Jordan Love. And everybody told me, be patient, right? Be patient. And they were right. And the bottom line is, I'll go through PFF right now. I'll go through, let me give you an example. This is a psychological experiment on Green Bay Packers fans. Ready? And I know this because I posted some stuff on Twitter, and it's hilarious how people will react. Let me just give you one example if I can ever get this pulled up. Let's go to the offense. Maybe the defense would be a better example. All right, let's quick go over to the defense. Kenny Clark had a 39 PFF grade. And maybe that's not the best example, but we'll ride with it. Kenny Clark had a 39 PFF grade. A lot of people at this point, myself included, to be honest, but a lot of people at this point will look at that and go, frickin', there we go. Dude's trash. Dude's washed. He's no good. He's garbage. Flip it over to the offense. Dontavian Wicks was the third lowest graded offensive player with a 44 grade. What? Dude, it's just one game. I'm not worried. That doesn't worry me at all. Now, again, it's a bad example because Kenny has been putting that stuff on tape for a while. I should have tried to find somebody else. The bottom line is, though, here, Josh Myers. Josh Myers had a 50 grade or something. There would be other better examples. I could even say Luke Musgrave had a 43 grade. I know some people would be patient, but a lot of people are like, oh, I think he's a bust. I don't think he's actually that good. If you say Wicks, though, because everybody loves Wicks, they look at it and go, dude, it's just one game. He's going to tear it up. And they're right. He's going to have games where he's going to tear it the F up. And this wasn't one of them. But if we look at Kenny Clark, we'll look at that and say, yep, see, 39. That's what he is. That's what he's always been. He's a pile of dog crap. It's like, all right, well, look, he's been a little underwhelming. That's true. He has not generally been this bad. And also, it was almost all run defense. He actually had the most pressures on the entire team. I think he had the highest pressure rate. He had 4 pressures on 31 attempts. Preston's the one that really was garbage as far as pressures. The only reason he was graded higher is because of his run defense, which is actually quite good. But we don't need to get into all the PFF stuff. Bottom line is, and another example, by the way, it's funny, whenever I post positive stuff, and I usually do on or at least couple the pos. Here's the highest and here's the lowest of the stuff on social media. Nobody ever argues when I say, dude, Edgerrin Cooper, highest graded defender. He was, by the way, highest graded defender. How awesome is that? Everyone's going to get jacked. I get jacked. I love that. Nobody's looking at that and saying, number one, bro, it's 1 week. It's 1 week. Also, nobody's going to say, yeah, PFF is trash, though. Even people that don't like PFF are not going to say that. But when I showed the lowest graded players, one of which was Javon Bullard, suddenly PFF is stupid. I watched the game. I know that he was better than that. No, you didn't. Unless you had all 22, you couldn't see him on every play. But we get all defensive about stuff. It's all just an overreaction. I don't need to go back and watch every single snap. I will acknowledge to you, PFF is not perfect. I don't need to go back and look at it for a couple reasons. Number one, it's just a broad overview. Javon Bullard obviously made some mistakes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a 46 grade. I look at PFF kind of as a range. We assume that there are times that people make mistakes and it's not actually their fault. And we've heard the Packers say this because they can't know everything. which is also why there's no other venue. You know, why don't you watch the tape? Because I don't know it either. But also because it's week one. It's week one, you know? I'm sure if I wanted to, if I had the time or whatever, have we not taken a break yet? Holy crap. I could easily go back and find, elite players who on their first time out didn't have their best games, you know? And other guys that it wasn't until year 2 or 3 or whatever. So game 1, I mean, do I have to pull the Vic Fangio card? What was it, year 3 with the Bears before they actually became what they were? So, I don't know. All right, we had better take a timeout. We'll come back and hear from Snacks. Dang it, a stupid thing. Walk away from my computer for 1 second. It's like, you want these to come through your speakers? No, idiot. I don't. Hey!
His ACL is intact.
Yeah, dude, he's good.
Thank holy heavens.
Yeah.
Even if he's out for half the season, man, I'm just happy the guy didn't tear something and now is going to have to, well, I mean, he's doesn't have reports, so I guess I don't know what exactly did happen yet, but that's good news. I feel a lot better. Oh, man. I would have been just bummed for him. I mean, as fans, of course. But I don't know. It seems like it's his time. I know he's kind of played like crap for a good portion of that game yesterday, but when he played well, he played like he did last year. I mean, he's going to be a fantastic quarterback. There's just no other way to say it.
Sure.
But yeah, that game, man, sloppy. I don't remember a time where we've had that many penalties in a game in a long time. I feel like I called in last year the first game and maybe said something somewhat similar. And if you remember, I mean, that Baltimore KC game, I mean, they called like 9,000 penalties. So I think the league, especially with the first couple that are nationally televised and prime time and whatever else, it's weird to me that they try to make examples like that. Like Hockley Jr. in that Ravens game, I was like, man, is this about you or is this about the football game? But,
right.
I don't know if there was a Hockley thing going on because Hockley obviously didn't officiate our game. But point is, I just felt like the NFL was trying to make a point. Some of those calls, it was odd. But we played sloppy, just plain and simple. I agree with you though, man. I think that there's flashes there on the defensive side of the ball that are different. Our tackling did get worse as the game went on, but when it was looking right, it was new and it was good. And that field was slippery, man. Don't kid yourself. There was 5 to 10 plays where that would have changed the outcome of some things. So I don't know, man. I'm questioning optimistic, and now that Love's knee is intact, then I'll tell you what, man. Good things. Good things, my man. Good things. We're on our way up. Good.
Yeah, it was a sloppy game, lots of penalties, and again, it's all just stuff that we would expect to get better. The officials are going to chill out, the field's going to get better, the teams are going to get better. To how much better, I don't know. Plus, all the competition is getting better, which again is fine. It's not to say that, if this was week 6, we would have beaten the Eagles, because the Eagles wouldn't have been as sloppy either. But at least if you're losing, it's better to just be like, well, crap, we just lost. As opposed to, God, did you... Every freaking time there's a score, there's a penalty. Every first down, there's a penalty. Every time we touch the ball, we go backward. Like, I can't freaking handle this, dude.
This is Squiddly Diddly.
Squiddly Diddly.
From Escanaba.
What's going on?
Michigan. So I don't want to be a downer, but think of this.
Okay.
You got the draft at Lambeau. Packers get the number 1 pick. Who are they going to take? Let me know, bud. Adios.
Oh, boy. I'm not mad at you for making me look. Right now, the number 1 prospect is Travis Hunter out of Colorado. I don't know how far ahead of the rest of the world he is. Like, in other words, how locked in that is. I will tell you the top two guys are corners, though. Travis Hunter and Will Johnson. I would not in any way be mad with an elite corner. I understand that we have Stokes and Jair, and I understand most people don't really like Stokes and Jair. I will usually fight people on it. I will not fight about getting an elite player. There's also James Pierce, the edge rusher, at 3. Carson Beck is a quarterback. I doubt we go that route. Wide receiver, Luther Burden. Defensive lineman, Mason Graham. Wide receiver, something McMillan out of Arizona. Shadur Sanders, quarterback, 8. Michael Williams, defensive lineman out of Georgia, and Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. Those are the top 10 guys right now. But yeah, if they had the number 1 pick, it's always iffy saying corner, especially with quarterback and edge prospects right there. They tend to be more liked. I guess you'd have to see how unbelievably elite they are, but I would be pretty excited about that. I mean, not at this point right now, I wouldn't want the number 1 pick, but to think about, I will say this too, as much as everybody hates when you're talking about number 1 pick, blah, blah, blah. The 49ers had a lot of benefit from the fact that they'd be a good team and then they'd lose their quarterback for the year. Then they'd get the number 1 pick. They get an elite player that's going to play for them for at least 10 years, one of the best pass rushers in all of football. They've had that happen numerous times where they get a really high pick because they have a down year. Not because they're bad, but because of some freaking fluke. Usually a quarterback goes out. And then they stack their team. So if that were to happen to the Packers, if they walk away with an elite football player and a handful of elite, because then you're basically getting another first-round pick in the next round, or very early second-round pick. Plus, I mean, there's the potential to trade. You got guys, you're sitting at 1. You got teams fighting for quarterbacks up there. Maybe somebody wants to come up, take Carson Beck, and it's like, man, we can get a haul to move back to 2 or 3. And if you can move back to 3, you're basically guaranteed. Actually, if you move to 4 and they took a quarterback, you're guaranteed one of the top corners or edge rusher at 4. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not going to happen. But be pretty crazy. Squiddly diddly, what else you got?
Yeah, it's me again. Hey. I just heard you don't want to talk about the draft yet, so I'll hold off until I hear what Jersey Mike has to say, because he really needs to call it and give me his opinion. And then we'll go from there. Anyways, keep up the good work. I'm always listening. Adios.
I mean, I'll entertain. I like looking at it. I just don't like doing it on my own accord, because then people are going to get mad at me. But if somebody calls in and asks, I will reprimand you. How dare you? And then we'll have some fun looking at some of the prospects. Steve, what's up, man?
Howdy, Ryan. Steve up in Alaska.
Howdy.
Just hanging out in my trailer here, waiting to see if I can get customers. Then the season coming around, so things are slowing down, but got a few weeks to go. Well,
got a pork butt going right now. First one I've done on my new Oklahoma Joe Bronco, so pretty pumped about that.
Well, that first game, I'm pretty sure that's not the game that anybody wanted to see. Personally, as I watched it, I started getting reminded of, the playoff game against the Niners, where, we just missed on opportunities early that we really should have gotten. And then, I don't know, in the second half, we just couldn't keep it together, gotten even one out of those 2 field goals have been a touchdown. We probably would have had enough pressure on them that it would have changed it, it's the butterfly effect. It changes how a team's going to play. They're down by 6 or they're down by 10. That's a whole different game, really, right out the get-go. And then, to slide off at the end and just not be able to put it together. And, like that playoff game, Love made a bizarrely weird play. And at the end of this one, I don't want to say it's a bizarrely weird play, but it wasn't what you wanted to see. And it just left him in the spot that he was in. So we'll see how it goes. I saw injury update stuff. They're saying 3 to 6 weeks with the sprain MCL. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants him down. But if you look at the schedule, at least the next 3 games, even with the backup, if we get ourselves together, we do what we got to do, we could win some of those games. They're against some of the bigger pushovers that we got on the schedule. So have to see how it goes. I know after the loss, you probably got a lot of calls. We might be skipping some. So I'm going to re-put it in, and I'm going to stick with it even after the loss and the injury. I'm still going to leave us at 10-7. That's what I was thinking before that game, because I wasn't sure we were going to win it. And so I was going to go with 10-7, just a game better than we were last year. So yeah, we gotta see what happens here, man. We gotta get this running game together. We gotta get a new young quarterback. I wish we still had Pratt. But hey, what you gonna do, man? It's the NFL. Got to play with what you got, and gotta let the chips fall as they may. So you take it easy. Everybody else take it easy. It's gonna be a long season. Let's just enjoy what we can. All right, go Pack, go.
Yeah, and as far as the run game, again, as I looked through this, not everything was bad, but something to consider. If you look at rush yards over expected per attempt, so what are we talking about when we talk about that stat? There is watching the play and saying he should have gone down right there. If that's where you go down, your RYOE per attempt is 0. If you just go down exactly where you're expected to go down, it's always a 0. If you go down before, it's negative. Positive means you didn't go down where we thought you would. Per attempt means per attempt. If you look at, right now, the 6 running backs who have stats from the first 2 games for rushing, that includes quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. Do you know who has the highest rushing yards over expected per attempt? It's Josh Jacobs. Isaiah Pacheco is -1. Jalen Hurts is -0.5 because of the Packers defense. Derrick Henry, 0.03. Saquon Barkley, 1.1, by the way. So for all the hemming and hawing about how much our defense sucked, dude didn't actually do all that great. I mean, 4.5 yards per attempt, 1.1 yard over expected. Even his EPA was just 0.9, which is less than Josh Jacobs. Lamar Jackson's RYOE was 1.8. Josh Jacobs, 2.4. So obviously the negatives that we're looking at, you still have to look at it and say, well, that means the offensive line didn't do great, which is true. But as far as Josh Jacobs is concerned, his ability to create when it wasn't there, he got 2.5 yards on average every time he touched the ball. 2.5 yards more than was expected per attempt. It's not a bad start. Just saying. Let's take our second break. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan. This is Aaron. So yesterday was just a wild ride, So I'm gonna get this right off the bat. I fully believe that if Jordan Love doesn't go down, that we probably would have won that game. That's just my opinion. He was starting to kind of come alive at the end of the game there, and that literally was possibly the worst case scenario or worst timing for Jordan Love to go down, because bringing Malik Willis to throw a Hail Mary basically when he wasn't used to the field at all, not a great situation. But anyway, so I'm calling after Jordan Love's kind of his main diagnosis, I guess, has come in, and it is pretty much, based on the way that he fell and was taken down, pretty much best case scenario, 3 to 6 weeks with optimism for early, within those 3 to 6 weeks, if not a little bit earlier. Especially with the games we've got coming up, probably our easiest part of our schedule. Hopefully whoever they put in at quarterback is going to actually be able to handle it. But anyways, so my thoughts on the game yesterday is that everyone's losing their mind over it, and I'm actually relatively optimistic about it. It kind of reminds me of the beginning of last year, to be honest, where I think of Tucker Kraft specifically with like some stupid mental mistakes that cause penalties, right? So you get like that kind of happened a lot last year at the beginning. But it's just like looking beyond that, like looking at the field conditions and some questionable calls by the refs, like the refs weren't good for both sides, but it definitely felt one-sided at times. I'm not the type that like blames the refs all the time. So I'm not going to do that, but it's just like, that kind of was a thing. And then you got the field condition. It was basically an ice rink. I don't know what was going on with that, but yeah, like that's been talked about to no end. But yeah, I'm going to give a call back again.
All right. Part 2, and I think there's a part 3.
That gosh darn 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
I am convinced also that the 3 minute monster here is actually the Scranton Strangler, so watch out for it. Yeah, it might not be, what is it, George Howard Scub or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the name in the show. I can't remember. Or is that Creed's real name? I think that might be Creed's real name. So which is Creed the 3 minute monster? Because logically it makes no sense. Possibly. But anyways, so yeah, the game yesterday. I'm actually pretty, like, it wasn't, like, given everything that happened, that is not the worst that could have gone. They were, like, right in it until the very end. Like, I don't want to completely give the Narv dog a break because he did miss a field goal, but he made all the other ones, and there is a possibility that the field conditions played a role in the one miss. You never really know. As long as going forward he starts to make them and doesn't hit the pole again, because that's what Bears do. They double doink it. We don't. But yeah, so it gives me, I do have hope for this season still. A lot of people are losing their minds over it, thinking the season's over, and it's like, dude, it's one game. Like, let's not overreact. Like, honestly, the most important thing was that Jordan Love was, for the most part, okay coming out of it. And, like, honestly, 3 to 6 weeks, I'll take it. That could have been a season ender. And, oh my gosh, I just saw a billboard that looks just like Napoleon Dynamite. Holy crap. He was playing the trumpet, and I don't think Napoleon Dynamite is the trumpet. Oh, sorry. My ADHD is kicking in really bad right now. So I should probably get home. I guess that's what Thai food does to me. But anyways, makes my ADHD go. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So go Pack, go. I think this is a game that it's like, there's a lot to learn from, but at the same time, not overreact to. Yeah. One more thing. Luke Musgrave is not the dude. I'm just not impressed with him. It seems like he doesn't have heart, and that's whatever. Tucker Kraft is like, I'm very glad that we're able to get Tucker Kraft. Yeah. Anyways, I'm about to come up on the next Creed Bratton's 3 minute monster here. No, that was George Howard Scub was the.
Here we go.
Hey, sorry for calling the third time, but this is very important. So George Howard Scub was the Scranton Strangler.
Right.
It is not Toby Flenderson like some believe. But yeah, it is also not Creed. Creed is William Charles Schneider, and I haven't watched The Office in a while, and so that's kind of why I forgot that. So there it is. But yeah, that was really important. I hit the 3 minute monster as I was saying that, so I needed to correct myself before you thought any less of me. Anyways, yeah, go Pack, go. On to week 2. I am super excited for this to see what we've got in Malik Willis. I don't know. Yeah. Peace out.
Yeah, I think I completely understand with the ADD thing where your mind just starts wandering and whatnot. The only problem is that mine starts doing the same thing when yours starts going. So I'm trying to remember everything. Usually that's also why it's the same with like when my wife texts me like 50 things and then I respond to the last one, she gets mad at me. It's like, well, you sent too much crap, dude. What do you want? If you say like 50 things in your message and I just respond to the last one, you're like, what the heck? I forgot all the other stuff. With that being said, I think, and PFF didn't like Musgrave. They gave him a bad grade, so I'm not saying that you're wrong. I feel like I missed something because I remember him being targeted twice. Both times Love threw it into double coverage. Once massively underthrown and intercepted. I don't know that he had a ton of great opportunities. Maybe he dropped one at some point. I don't know. I would be much more critical of Musgrave if he was, put in a situation where he could show what he could do, and then we could judge that. But when he's just double covered and that's all we see of him, I have a hard time 100% just coming down hard on the guy. You know what I mean? All right, we got some Nate here. We'll probably end with Nate because he's got 3 calls, but we'll see how she goes.
Hey, Ryan, it's Nate. Another day has gone by. I'm a little bit more calm than I was in my last couple calls. But I did have to call you out on something that I don't agree with. Okay. Normally, I'm pretty aligned with kind of how you tend to look at things. But you said you were pro 2-point conversion when they didn't get that. I was not. The second that I saw that flag come out, I immediately was already pissed at the refs again. Right. I knew what was going to happen. They were going to move them closer. They were going
to be fair, I covered this on the stream. I don't know if you were on there or not, but I said this all over the stream. I was like, I know it's the right thing to do. I hate taking points off the board. I don't like doing it. You got the point, keep the point. But what I saw was on the 1 yard line, and you look at the score, and it's like, I guarantee the analytics tell you it's 99%. Like it just has to be 1 yard line, dude. But and I've said this 1,000 times. I'm a coward when it comes to this stuff. If I got the point, and you're like, do you want to take the point off the board and then try to go for 2? My answer is always no. That's always my answer. I know that Matt LaFleur made the right decision. I don't like it, and I wouldn't have done it. So just to be clear, I shouldn't say I wouldn't have done it. If somebody was screaming in my ear, don't be an idiot, you have to do this, whatever, I probably would just say go ahead and do it. But I guess I'll say my stomach was tied in knots just knowing that all we were going to do was take a point off the board.
Take it on the field goal, but they were going to try for the 2-point. Here's the thing, I'm not opposed to going for a 2-point conversion. I know it's got a bunch of statistical significance and we were behind and there's probably a whole lot of reason to do it. The reason that I would not have done it is just look at our offense in that first half. Especially like we handed it off trying to get Josh Jacobs to run it in. What did Josh Jacobs do in that first half? Yeah. Not that I don't like Josh Jacobs. He didn't do shit. He didn't do shit in that first half. They just were not allowing. And
I mentioned that too, where it reminded me a lot of like when Aaron Jones would kind of drive down the field and we get down on the 1 yard line and put A.J. Dillon in. And it's like, bro, I understand that he's bigger, but Aaron Jones is the right decision here. That was the right decision. So yeah, in that situation, even if I'm going to do it, I would rather have Emmanuel Wilson or maybe do like just a QB sneak and push because you're right on the goal line. Or just I don't know, do something else. You got a bunch of pass plays in your book. Figure something out. I don't know. But yeah, I'm with you. You look at what they were doing with Josh Jacobs. Not that it was his fault. It was mostly the offensive line, but that doesn't really matter. They weren't able to get any push or anything.
A whole lot of rushing yards. So why are we handing it off on a 2-point conversion? Take the points. Kick the field goal. Take the points. He made the field goal right before that one. Just have him kick the field goals. Like the whole reason you brought him in, and I know he's a rookie and he missed a different kick, but take the points. Just take that point. Give your offense that full 7 points. You completed a full touchdown with the extra point and everything. And then maybe that can, help morale on the sidelines a little bit. Give us a little bit of oomph going in. But instead, you call a run play. They stuff us. Now their defense is like, yeah, we stuffed that 2-point conversion and we only got 6 points out of it. It's a bummer for us, and it's just not awesome. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I'm hoping our season isn't over. I know Jordan's expected to come back relatively soon, but how much will he be back? Is he going to be 100%? Is this going to be a lingering injury? Is he going to re-injure it? I don't know. Especially knee stuff. Knee stuff's always weird. Like, depends kind of on the position that you play. Quarterbacks can get away with a little bit more as far as injuries go because they're less contact. Back a million years ago, I played offensive line, and you get a knee injury when you're playing offensive line, and it's not. You use that thing every single play at 100%. It's you can't have a knee injury when you're playing that position, and I'm sure like running back and stuff is the same. But
all right, part 2.
That one was on me. I was rambling. Anyway, go Pack, go.
No, I'm more or less with you on that. I do think that is, and that's also where you come back to, yes, statistically maybe, but you also have to understand what you're looking at on the field. Maybe make a different call. I don't know, but it's certainly not, of all the mistakes that were made, that's not going to be the biggest one that I'm going to look at. Because it probably was the right decision, just wasn't executed. But I'm with you, and I felt the same exact thing when they went out and did that. And then as far as the injury, I know this is mostly just like Chat GPT type stuff, asking questions. But the general consensus was, as long as they allow him to fully heal, there's every reason to believe he can come back fully healthy. I'll just leave it at that. I don't exactly know much more than that. He doesn't have a lengthy history or any injury that I'm aware of as far as serious lower body injuries. So it's not like a repeated thing that he's had to endure. So I'm hoping that everything's going to be okay. I mean, there's always a part of me that thinks, well, if it was kind of stretched out, is it going to be more susceptible? I don't know. I don't know if it comes back to full health or what.
And get a little break of how angry a lot of us are probably about the Packer game and the Jordan Love injury. I don't know if anybody else is watching, the NFL Sunday kickoff early coverage, but Tyreek Hill, I'm sure it's going to be a huge story. It already is. He got arrested or something because he had a moving violation, but then they got Drew Rosenhaus's agent, who was apparently with him when it happened, and they're trying to do an interview, cut away to the stadium where Drew Rosenhaus is, and of course the audio is just completely, and you can't even hear what the interview starts with or ends with. It's just all you can hear is the music in the background, and I was just laughing hysterically because it's supposed to be this super serious moment, and all you can just hear is background. Go back, go.
That is a pretty wild story. I mean, it went away pretty quick. He obviously was right back in playing the football game. A lot of people are upset because it's like, well, it's a speeding violation. Why was he face down on the ground? And I don't know. I'm kind of curious what all happened. Usually you don't even need to get out of the car if it's just a speeding ticket. I haven't really looked into it at all. So I don't know if they were screwing with him because it's Tyreek Hill or if it was something more serious and he was, being combative or what the situation was. But it seems like it's an interesting story that I'd be interested in looking into, but I just kind of forgot about it until this exact moment. So anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. We do have a couple more calls. Probably not enough for tomorrow. Almost, though. So if you got a couple thoughts, especially on today's games, be sure to get them in to me. But I will leave it at that. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.